go right ahead and talk about Team USA beating the Canadian team in the exhibition game. Canada is arguably like the second best international team in the Olympics, like for basketball, behind the United States, who have dubbed the nickname the Avengers. And for those of you guys who don't know, it's because Team USA was somewhat humiliated last year in FIBA basketball. We didn't send, our best team, like the best possible players in the NBA weren't really on the Team USA roster for a while. So this is sort of like an avenging type of team to try and, reclaim the glory, get the gold once again. It's not really the same as the Redeem team because, that's just another name, but this is sort of called the Avengers because of just how talented the rest of the roster is and just how many players there are on the team. So the final score for the Team USA against Canada, it was 86-72. The United States, they blew out Canada out of the water. Obviously, it didn't start out that way, however. Honestly, a lot of the players were still rather rusty and there wasn't really good enough chemistry coming in from a lot of these players because, again, they're so used to playing in a specific set, in a specific offense, and, forcing themselves to play a different role is going to take some time to get used to on Team USA. And so this was the final score, and the players of the game for the United States was, surprise, surprise. Oh, well, if the camera will shift over to... Okay, it's not changing for some reason. Hold on just one second. Let me fix that, see what the problem is. I apologize for that. I have no idea why it's not popping up for some reason. Hold on just one second. There we go. Anthony Edwards. Yeah, surprisingly, Anthony Edwards. If you guys remember from the previous podcast, I was like, it's a little bit ignorant to call Anthony Edwards the #1 option for Team USA. I was wrong. Literally, the second he came off of the bench, he brought immediate impact to the United States, and they were able to pull out from this game. And again, as I said, the game didn't really start out in Team USA's favor. They were down by 11 points, and then came in the bench. Then came in Anthony Edwards, and he brought a spark coming off the bench. And the same can be said about Anthony Davis, who ended the game with 10 points, 11 rebounds, and 2 assists. Now, if you guys remember from the previous podcast, I said that I wanted Anthony Davis in the starting lineup. He wasn't in the starting lineup for some baffling reason. They opted to put Joel Embiid in the starting lineup over Anthony Davis, and it proved to be a huge mistake. And Joel Embiid ended up fouling out in the third quarter and was more of a liability for Team USA than anything else. His play style and just the way that he plays, since he is incredibly ISO heavy, it just wasn't helping Team USA at all. And also, it should be noted that the rules in the Olympics and the rules with FIBA basketball are a little bit different. The court is a lot shorter, as I mentioned before, so the three-point line is, a foot closer to the basket, allowing Steph Curry to thrive and a lot of the shooters on the team to get a lot better looks because, they don't have to step as far from the basket to score a three-point shot. And more on the topic with Joel Embiid, he was way taller than a lot of the players on the Canadian team and for some reason wasn't taking advantage of his height. He was trying to back down a big and he just wasn't moving. He got stopped by a much smaller defender, and he was, again, more of a liability for Team USA than anything else. So I hope going into the future that, Joel Embiid is going to get out of the starting lineup, and I know it sounds a little biased, but I genuinely do not feel like he is a good fit for that starting lineup. The way that he plays and the way that he wants to play, that's just not it. He can't do that. But that's just me. I'll talk a little bit more about that in the third segment when I talk about the roster as a whole and what I think should be the starting lineup. Now, for Canada, RJ Barrett, he was arguably, the best player for the Canadian team. He ended up scoring 12 points, 5 rebounds, and 1 assist. And surprisingly, Dillon Brooks, he was also a key player for the Canadian team. He ended up scoring 10 points, got 2 rebounds, and 2 assists. He was also getting booed at by literally everybody in Las Vegas. So it was kind of funny watching everyone in the stands just boo Dillon Brooks because, you know, he is a common villain in the NBA, and it was just hilarious to see them do that. Now, about the game, like as I said, it wasn't all in favor for Team USA, but once they figured it out, they never took their foot off the gas pedal. And once they got the lead, they never backed down. So I'll go ahead and read the rest of the stats and the rest of the, you know, key players in this game. Now, Devin Booker, he was in the starting lineup. He ended up scoring 9 points, got 2 rebounds and 2 assists. And LeBron James, the best player on the entire team, he ended up getting 7 points, 3 assists, 3 steals, and 5 rebounds. Now, who else played? Now, Joel Embiid, as I mentioned, he fouled out, and he ended the game with 5 points, 4 turnovers, 2 assists, and 6 rebounds. So, again, just not a very good performance coming in from Joel Embiid. And let's see, Steph Curry, he only played 19 minutes, was 3 for 6 from the three-point line, ended the game with 12 points, and recorded 3 assists and 2 rebounds. Now, these aren't the expected stats that you would expect a lot of these stars to, you know, put out there. I mean, usually Steph Curry is more of like a 25 or 30 point per game scorer. LeBron is a 25 point per game scorer, but don't expect that kind of performance coming in from a lot of these players because, again, this is FIBA basketball. It's a completely different game, and Team USA is going to be more reliant on team basketball as opposed to just individual basketball, which is something that Joel Embiid just didn't understand. So don't really expect all of these players to put up monster numbers as they would in the NBA, because not only is their usage rate most likely going to be a little bit lower than how it is in the regular season, but that's just not the offensive set that they run. Like, when you have a team this talented, running isolations every single play is just not ideal. Turning these players into shooters is not ideal. Like, you wouldn't want LeBron James being a catch and shooter. You want him operating the offense. You wouldn't want the only player on the roster really that you want to be like a catch and shooter is really Stephen Curry, because, you know, how he runs off of screens and how he gets all these open looks. You want him to be one of the main catch and shoot options for the team. Now, Tyrese Halliburton, he ended the game with only 2 points, but when he was on the court, he had a plus box score. So, like, you know, box plus minus, he ended up getting a plus 17, meaning that every single time that he was on the court, the team would just outscore Canada, which is very undervalued coming in from Tyrese Halliburton. Like, everyone's only going to look at his individual stats, but when he was on the court, the team was winning and the team was scoring a lot more than when he was off the court. So be sure to, like, take that into consideration. It should also be noted that Joel Embiid had the worst box plus minus out of everybody on the roster, but enough with the Embiid dislike. One of the things that should be also mentioned in this roster was that Kevin Durant, he wasn't in the starting lineup and he wasn't playing for Team USA in this game because they were more worried about his health as opposed to him playing in an exhibition game. And while I don't really like that some of these players are sitting out, I do understand why Kevin Durant was sitting out in this game. They want to avoid him getting injured before Team USA even plays in the group phase of the Olympics, which, again, is very, very important because Kevin Durant is going to he's most likely going to be in the starting lineup for Team USA. I'd be very surprised if he wasn't. And that's really the end of the first segment that I have for you guys. Not really much that needs to be talked about coming in from the United States. They just, came in and they handled business. But one thing that should be noted for the Canadian team was that Shai didn't really play as well as a lot of people thought he would play. I mean, he only shot 3 for 10 from the field and ended the game with 10 points. And we know Shai as that dominant scorer that he is on OKC, so maybe he's still taking some time adjusting to the role on his team and what exactly will bring the team wins and what will bring the team value. And it should also be noted that Team USA has a huge size difference compared to the Canadian team. Like, in the first half, the rebounding difference was like around 20-5 or something like that. They were getting a lot of rebounds, and excuse me, the Canadian team, they also didn't really shoot that well from the field. I mean, they shot 43% from within inside the arc compared to the United States, 60% from inside the arc, and both of the teams actually shot very poorly from three. Team USA only shot 30% from three, and the Canadian team only shot 21% from three, and they both hit the same amount of threes, 7, despite Canada taking 10 more three-point attempts than the United States. So those are just my final thoughts on the game. So with that, we are out of time for this first segment. So now we will go ahead and go into the second segment, where I talk about Kawhi Leonard withdrawing from Team USA and just my opinions on that. So I'll be right back after this short break. Be sure to stay tuned.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits, I'm losing shit. A stupid myth, you choose to live or choose to dip. You choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?